Each week on Culinary Confidential, Christina Cates, a seasoned foodie who has worked at some of New York City's top restaurants, will share her passion for the culinary world. Whether you're a professional chef, a restaurant enthusiast, or a lover of good food, Christina dives into the heart of hospitality, exploring the trends, triumphs, and challenges facing the food service profession. And you won't want to miss her chats with some of the most interesting and influential industry voices. And now, please take your seat at the table as Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates starts now, exclusively on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates. This show is produced in association with my dear friend, Lucas A. Ferrara. On the show tonight, I have Dr. Julie Gatza calling in shortly. We're going to discuss anxiety and if your diet can play a significant role in enhancing symptoms that you feel. Right off the bat, without even having spoken to Dr. Julie, I feel like the answer is yes to this. But she's going to tell us more because she's the doctor and I'm not. Now, let me tell you more about Dr. Julie Gatza. She is a chiropractic physician and health educator with over 30 years of clinical practice. Dr. Julie is based in the Tampa Bay area, and she co-founded the Florida Wellness Institute. She integrates chiropractic care, nutrition, and alternative therapies to empower the body's natural healing process. Dr. Julie highlights the digestive systems as the cornerstone of overall health, and I quote, "When the digestive system is working efficiently, any person has a real chance to improve how they feel every day." Dr. Julie currently serves as a spokeswoman for Nature's Sources, distributors of AbsorbAid digestive enzymes. Now, pressure and anxiety, they're part of the fabric of our everyday life, unfortunately. I really don't know anybody that doesn't feel pressure or have bouts of anxiety from time to time. I do know a lot of people that experience this constantly. It's just the new norm. Pressure and anxiety can affect anybody. It doesn't matter your age or your background or lifestyle. Anxiety is the internal, emotional, and physiological response to the external demands of pressure. Combined, they create a vicious and overwhelming cycle that significantly impacts your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Everyone knows that feeling. Like you have that pit in your stomach or your heart is racing. It's just the worst. Now, according to the National Institute of Mental Health, anxiety disorders affect 40 million adults in the United States in any given year, about 18% of the population. That makes anxiety disorders the most common mental illness in the country. Now, it doesn't matter what the external pressure is for you, but some examples of where they stem from may be your work or career, your family, personal relationships. Maybe you're experiencing financial strain, health and body image expectations, or, the social media comparison trap, which is so incredibly toxic. The pressure is everywhere. Anxiety caused by these pressures can manifest in your body in several ways. You can have cognitive symptoms, which can include racing thoughts, difficulty concentrating, constant worrying, or overthinking scenarios. I can tell you I'm guilty of all of these. You can have emotional symptoms, which look like general irritability, sadness, mood swings, or a sense of overwhelm. Let's not forget about the physical symptoms, which people may not even realize are symptoms of anxiety, and those are fatigue, insomnia, headaches, muscle tension, stomach problems, and panic attacks. I know some people that are sick all of the time. Every other week, if not every week, it's, I don't feel good, I'm tired, my head hurts, I'll just pop some Motrin. It makes me want to scream because they're not getting to the root of the problem. They're just putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. And lastly, there are the behavioral symptoms, which may include avoidance of responsibilities, procrastination, overworking, or reliance on coping mechanisms like alcohol, overeating, or screen time. Let me tell you why all of this matters and why it needs to be addressed. Unchecked pressure and anxiety can lead to long-term mental health conditions like depression, burnout, and generalized anxiety disorder. The good news is, while anxiety and pressure are common, they don't need to be endured alone. With the right tools, understanding, and support, people can build resilience and restore balance in their daily lives. And your diet plays a huge role in that. Ryan, let's get Dr. Julie on the line, please. Dr. Julie Gatza, welcome to Culinary Confidential. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm excited for this one because it really hits home for a lot of people, and I personally know some people that listen to my show regularly that will be benefited from this hour. So let's rock and roll.
Excellent. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. So, I mean, let's get right to it, right? Like, what are the foods to avoid or rarely eat if you're someone who suffers from anxiety?
I mean, sugar is the obvious, and it's one that everyone knows about, but the fact is it's fake energy. So if you're feeling anxiety, a lot of times your energy is low. You're not producing, your metabolism isn't working properly. Your hormonal system isn't kicking properly. You haven't had enough sleep. So you're at a low point, and the last thing you want to do is boost it up with artificial sweeteners, any sweeteners, because of the fact that once you go, let's just say a number, 200, you will dip down to 300 below zero. And if you go up, you're going to come back down. So this is the ping pong effect when you're trying to get yourself healthier and get your mental state where it belongs, is you do not want to artificially spike your blood sugar.
So let me ask you, if I start my day with a nice coffee, which I do every single day, now I try to wake up and have a glass of water because I know you should do that, right? But I do have a nice coffee and I try not to put any sugar in it, but sometimes I do want a little one pump of vanilla. Like, is that literally the worst way to start your day?
I mean, nobody likes when they ask that question and they really want the honest answer. No, it's not. What you need to do is you want to put in protein, because you don't want to, after a whole night of putting your body at rest, wake up in the morning and then jack it with caffeine and sugars and, things that will artificially raise your blood sugar. So now if you had, let's say, an egg or two, and then, half an hour later you say, oh, right, I'd like to have some of that coffee, it would be a lot easier on your system because you already have a blood sugar that's in a more normal state. It's
like starting your car in the winter and just going right into drive, right? Like
that's
without
exactly
even giving it a chance to warm up.
And in Florida, it's doing it with, air condition on full max on a 100-degree day.
I mean, I guess it makes a lot of sense. I should try to have breakfast first, but I really just love that coffee. But I'm gonna make a change and see if I feel, the benefits of that. So I'll let you know, Dr. Julie. All right, so
we're helpful.
So that's the sugar, and it's not just like sugar, but it's also those sugary drinks, right? Like not even just the coffees, like Gatorades or any kind of those energy drinks. But what about something that's like an orange juice, which has natural sugars in it?
It does, but think about it this way. By the time that it was picked here in Florida, put in its container, sat for who knows how many weeks, landed on your breakfast table, there is no more vitamins left. It is just pure sugar from a fruit.
So I should be squeezing juice.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Right then and there, and then drink it. Don't squeeze it and put it in the fridge. So, I've seen this. I remember in school we did a test to see how long does vitamin C stay around once it's been shaken, sliced, stirred, and it wasn't very long.
Oh. See, this is why this show is so great, because we're learning things here. I didn't even know that. I'm not even going to bother buying organic orange juice anymore for my children because they're not getting the benefits I think I'm giving it to them for.
Absolutely not. And, what you're better off doing is slicing oranges in, some cool pattern and putting it on their plate and having them eat it right then and there.
Okay, I will do that.
Plus, keep in mind when you're juicing something, let's say it takes 3 or 4 oranges to make 1 glass of juice. Who in the right mind is going to sit down and eat 3 or 4 oranges, but now you're getting the sugar from all those oranges?
Right, and you're not getting the fiber.
That's right.
All right, so sugary drinks are out for anxiety. What about, I think, fast food, right? That's probably jacking your system up too.
I look at it this way. I call it food and unfood. Food, just put up a picture of a nice piece of fish. Unfood, put up a box of French fries. That food has vitamins, minerals, enzymes, healthy fats, protein. That unfood has none of those things, plus junk. So when you're eating unfood, like the box of fries, you're not helping your body at all. You're taking away your reserves. So let's say you have a little, pile of reserves of nutrition in your body. When you eat French fries, it's taking away from that pile, so it's making you worse for eating it, not better.
We're not off to a good start here. And I would imagine white bread, anything with a white flour in it, isn't doing your body any justice either.
It's been so changed, not to mention, we're a little weird in our country these days about how we process and cultivate our grains, but we've put glyphosate over all of it, which is Roundup.
Mm-hmm.
Then we bleach it. Then we do weird things to it. Then we enrich it with who knows what. And, if you think back to when we used to pick our wheat and grind it, which nobody even, has any idea what that means, that was actual real food. This other is, fake sugar blasting, unhealthy, make yourself and your family eventually going to be sickly because of it.
Right. So it's all the processed foods, not even just the white bread. It's the chips, anything that comes prepackaged, the food additives. And Americans, we eat a diet regularly full of these kinds of things. I mean, it's
unbelievable
so bad.
It is. I mean, I saw a picture of a bunch of people here at the beach in the 70s, and I blew up the picture on my phone, and I looked carefully. Every single person on that beach was slender. The legs looked good. There wasn't cellulite. The old people, the young people, the middle age, and everyone was slender. And you are far pressed to find a slender person on the beach now. I mean, as a general rule, everyone is battling their weight. And it's not because we're fat, lazy Americans. It's because our food source has been changed at such a level that we cannot process those foods. So the metabolism is shutting down. And quite frankly, we're all starving.
Yeah, we're starving for nutrition.
That's right.
Vitamins and minerals. I think even in my own family, like when I see some of the things in people's cabinets and refrigerators, like I'll be the first one to go there and be like, this isn't food. Like you can't start your day with Frosted Flakes and think you're going to feel good. It just doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense, but yet, we've been marketed towards it, and this is how it is. And, I grew up, where we got sweet cereal on occasion, but, we had to eat the very bland ones, whatever it was. I can't remember the names of them, but they weren't sweet and they weren't sugared.
I know. Those are the ones I buy for my kids. I mean, even something which I don't even like to buy this, but like a Cheerio, which is no sugar, nothing, but I know it's processed and has probably Roundup on it. I get a bad rep in my own house for that because, they go to their cousin's house, friends' houses, and they have all the fun cereals. I'm like, we're not having that here. We're not having high fructose corn syrup at 6:30 in the morning. Like, it's just not happening. But
I mean, to be a mom like you is like a salmon swimming upstream because everyone else is given into it.
Yeah. And then you don't even get me started on the whole can I have an iPhone conversation because that's a different kind of show. But I'll be on an island all my own with that. That I know. But
hey, I was with you.
Thank you. When we talk about all of these foods that we just discussed, the sugary foods, the fast foods, the white breads, the processed foods, we have to talk about, why it gives us anxiety.
Well, if you think about the fact that a body responds towards just the basics, it needs sleep, it needs food, it needs water. But that food should have minerals and nutrients and all the good things in it. If we aren't feeding ourselves the actual basics of that, now you're asking a person to have a healthy body and a healthy mind. So I think that it gets a little wrapped up into, the environment and the school and the family and blaming things on your past. And I mean, I've seen so many patients over my 34 years of being a doctor where we correct their diet, we get their digestion working better, we adjust their spine and take out all the bad things, and they are, perfectly happy. They're sane, they can reason through things, they sleep better, they're not, nutty, they're not anxious. I mean, I wouldn't fight with a family member of mine who needed to be fed. It's not even a fair fight because they're reactive, they're not feeling great, they're, not listening. So I think it really does start with just the basic diet of, drink the water, get the 3 meals in a day, don't let your blood sugar dump, and then grab some silly energy drink to try to bring it back up. Feed your kids when they leave for school, even if they're in high school. And, start just putting in the very basics because there's enough of the junk out in the environment that is going to be, what they have to battle. But put in the very basic rudiments on the food, the water, and the sleep.
Yes. All right. What are some foods that you recommend to support the immune system in response to, the anxiety and the pressures?
Always protein. I think we're a country that's not eating enough protein, and we're relying on, protein bars and protein shakes and weird things like that. Where, I'm talking eggs, fish, steak, shrimp, pork, I don't care as long as it's a very basic protein. And I think if people eat that protein, it will slow down how fast their sugars are burning throughout the day. It gives them a very stable to start from. And vegetables of any kind. If it's salads, okay, fine. I'm not a huge fan of salads only and then throwing the protein on top.
You're not. That surprises
I'm not.
me.
I think salads are hard to break down for people. And if we're trying to get them healthy, you don't feed an unhealthy person salads.
Interesting.
It's too much work. Yeah, it's too much stress on the digestive system. And what we're going for is the nutrition, not just the thing that looks so good and healthy in front of your eyes. So I always say protein first, steam your vegetables. They don't have to be overcooked, but just steam them. And those are sort of the basics that I would say you start with. If you want to have some fruit, great, but don't start with that. How many times have you given your kid grapes before dinner and they don't want dinner?
Yeah, that's a great point. Sometimes I give them fruit with dinner. Is that bad?
I don't think it's the worst thing, but, make sure they're eating their protein first. You want them to be hungry. You want them to actually come to the table hungry. And then what you serve them, they'll actually eat. But if they're, semi-hungry and we're allowed to snack and have a little something, now you got a kid who wants to pick at the carbs and ignore the protein.
I mean, I see this in my own house. I'll make them the protein, and I cook a lot. I meal prep. Like, I try so hard to put the nutrition on the plate. But, I mean, they got to do their part, too, and eat it. And they always lean in first to the rice, the pasta, whatever the carbohydrate is on the plate. And the protein, I'm shoving down their throat. I'm like, you have to have this, too. So it's an uphill battle.
Just hold off on the carb until they have the protein.
Oh, and then you can that's a great idea. I'm going to say, Dr. Julie said so. Don't be mad at me. But when you talk about the protein, I mean, what about the cholesterol problem? Like with red meats?
I think cholesterol is, I think that's where the fallacy is. People who have high cholesterol are usually on pretty junky diets in the first place. So it's not the fact that it's the eggs, which do have a lot of cholesterol, but 80% of your body is cholesterol is made by your body.
Really?
Yes. So when you get a decent diet where you are actually absorbing the nutrients, you're making the enzymes in your body, you're breaking down those foods, you're absorbing all these nutrients, this is how you have a healthy liver. This is how you have normal cholesterol, normal blood pressure, normal digestion. But everyone's fixated on, eggs are high in cholesterol, we can't have those. I'm like, no, it's a perfect protein. Eat the eggs, but knock out the toast and the pancakes and the tater tots and the hash browns that went along with this if we're just talking breakfast.
Oh, but those are so good. But yes,
I know.
Okay.
Those are the things that
eggs
are gumming up the problem.
So we're going to talk digestion after we get back from the commercial break, because I know that's a huge part of digesting the food and the anxiety. But are there supplements or vitamins that would help with nourishing the body to offset anxiety? Like if you're not eating that balanced diet, like 100%.
When you ask that, I always use this enzyme. It's a high-quality digestive enzyme called AbsorbAid, and you're asking that because it breaks down all the food. So if you're spending the money and you're prepping all these meals and you're making sure that the kids are getting it and yourself and, you're going out of your way, you want to be making sure that those nutrients from that food you just bought is getting into the bodies.
Right.
So we aren't making enough digestive enzymes as a general population because of our food source and everything we've just talked about. So I am always twisting my patients' arms to take a high-quality digestive enzyme so that they can actually wring more nutrients from each one of their meals. It helps with getting more of the nutrients for energy and sleep and skin and weight problems and, yes, anxiety and moods and just digestion in general. So that's a killer just from, I think it's better than taking a multivitamin because you're getting the nutrients from your food, not just trying to take them from a jar.
All right. Well, that's awesome. All right. Let's do this. I want to talk more about AbsorbAid when we get back because I do have some more questions about it because I've never taken a digestive enzyme before in my life. So let's go to commercial break. Dr. Julie, don't go anywhere. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back to the show. I'm joined tonight by Dr. Julie Gatza, who is discussing with us how to prioritize the right diet to combat anxiety. We just discussed a toxic list of food when it comes to revving up anxiety, and now I want to discuss some encouraging and healthy ways to cope with it. But Dr. Julie, welcome back to the show, first of all. And
Thanks, Christina.
Second of all, before we went to break, we were just talking about the digestive enzyme AbsorbAid, which I think it's Nature Sources. You can get that, right? Nature Sources?
Yes, Nature's Sources.
Okay. And can you tell us more about this? Because I do find this a little interesting because I think I eat healthy the majority of the time, but I would say my body's probably not absorbing everything nutrient-wise it should be, and I want to learn more about this.
Oh, cool. So, I've sold a lot of vitamins and told patients to take just a ton of vitamins over the years. And when it comes down to it, there are some patients that are like, listen, I don't have a lot of money. I don't want to spend a bunch of money on this. I don't have a lot of time. I just hate swallowing vitamins. So what would
I'm
you
in that
recommend,
camp.
number one? So if that's the case and I really can't twist their arm to take something other, then what I'm telling them to do is to take AbsorbAid digestive enzymes. And the reason being is it will aid in breaking down your own food. It has an enzyme in there that helps you break down the proteins. So whenever you eat eggs and meat and chicken and fish, it will help you to get that broken down so that those nutrients can get into your bloodstream. And this is how you stay healthy. This is how you get healthy. It's that simple. I know we all eat for taste buds, but the real aspect behind eating for taste buds is to get the nutrients into the bloodstream.
Right.
There's enzymes in there that break down carbohydrates. There's enzymes that break down the fats, enzymes that actually break down dairy, because we don't even make enzymes in our bodies to break down dairy products. So they've put that in for the people that are eating, dairy products. So when you have something like that going in with each meal, it's like having the sous chef in the kitchen that's finally chopping up all the things for you, and this is all available for you to utilize much easier than putting that big meal in your belly and hoping your own digestive system can break it down. Now, I think it used to be able to, but I haven't seen a heck of a lot of people in my practice, healthy or sick, with very efficient digestive systems. I'd say over 90% have something going on that's not optimal.
So do you take the AbsorbAid before every meal, or you take it like once a day?
I take one or two with a meal. Sometimes I forget, so I take it during the meal. Sometimes I forget, I take it right after. Sometimes I'm 2 hours later, I'm like, and I take it then. So I take the AbsorbAid whenever I remember. The optimal is when you're eating or right before you eat. You can take it on an empty stomach before you go to bed, and because it's these enzymes can break down bacteria, viruses, toxins, poisons. So when you have inflammation in the body, sometimes my hands get inflamed from being a chiropractor or weeding in the garden or whatever it is that I'm doing. I'll take a couple before I go to bed, and I wake up and my hands are less inflamed because it breaks down inflammation as well.
Oh, I'm taking this. I'm definitely taking this. Can children take this?
Absolutely. Children, elderly, dogs. It's an all-vegan formula. So in our country, we have all these ethnicities that came from other countries. We've got the Germans who brought the sauerkraut. The sauerkraut aided into breaking down the meal. Right. We have kimchi with Koreans that breaks down their meals.
Fermented
ginger with the
foods.
Japanese, all the fermented foods. Here in America, we have pickles, we have coleslaw, we have things in vinegar. Those are all of aid to us. When they put together this AbsorbAid digestive enzyme, they've put in the pineapple and papaya and all the things that help with that. So it's a fruit and vegetable-based enzyme. So can you overdo it? I'm sure you don't really want to eat half the bottle, but you're eating food.
Oh, I'm very intrigued by this, Dr. Julie. I'm going to get this as soon as the show is over. Now,
Well, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I get so passionate because I've used this enzyme for so many years that I'm still surprised where somebody calls and says, I have such acid reflux. I ate 4 hours ago. I can't even lay down. I'm so uncomfortable. And I'm like, take some. And they take the AbsorbAid and they call 15 minutes later going, do you really think it was that? And I'm like, no, couldn't have been that.
Listen, if my dad is listening, which I know he does, I'm getting this for you, Dad. I think this will be great for you.
Excellent.
Can people get a free sample of this that are listening?
If they go to the website, the website is nature'ssources.com, and they can get free samples or 20% off their first order. And if they don't want to get on a website, they can call the 1-800 number, use the code radio, and ask for some free samples or 20% off. And that's 1-800-827-7656.
Awesome. Amazing. All right, but I want to talk now about how anxiety affects the digestive system.
Well, I think it's more of digestion affects anxiety.
So reverse. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody doesn't have an efficient system, I mean, when they eat their food, can they break it down and eliminate it? If you have to think about your digestion even once in the day, there's probably something not efficient about it. You should basically be able to never even think about it. Food is food, and you have a bowel movement once a day, and that's how it is. So when you have gas, burping, belching, acid reflux, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, full feeling, stomach aches, that simply means what you just ate, you're not breaking down, which then means those toxins are going to be reabsorbed into your body, and you're going to be lacking the nutrients that you should have gotten from your body. So I say all this as a prelude to you aren't going to feel good when you don't have nutrients, when you have extra toxins, and when your digestive system is continuously stressed and you can't have it efficient to just have the body work properly. So it is going to affect your mind. It's going to affect how you're thinking. It's going to affect your moods. It's going to affect how you interact with others, how you think about yourself. It's going to affect your sleep cycle. And on top of it, you won't be able to get the nutrients properly to make the hormones that you need. And hormones are the basis for fighting pain and inflammation, feeling good. There's so many hormones that are made in the body, more than the estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, that this is why digestion is so important. It has to be handled there, and then that's how you fix the rest of you.
So it starts with the digestion. Everything else will hopefully fall into place after that, but you have to start in the gut. Can you explain the gut-brain connection in simple terms?
Well, the most simple I would say is if you have toxins that aren't being handled properly by your liver and being eliminated by the body, you're going to have inflammation in the body. You're going to have swelling. You're going to have skin that may not be as good, eyes that have darkness underneath. You look puffy, you look sort of tired and drawn. Well, all those are just signs and symptoms that the body is inflamed and toxic. So your brain, when you think about, let's just say you're in a decent mood and you eat ice cream and you're like, wow, I love life.
Yeah.
I'm eating ice cream. I'm with my family. This is great. Well, when you have everything working properly in the body, that is basically how it should be working, is it should just always feel good. Of course, we have ups and downs that hit us from life themselves, but just generally as how you're feeling from, the mind and the brain and how the body is, it's pretty much directly affected. I mean, watch a little kid, feed them perfectly for 1 week, go give them all sorts of bad junk for a half an hour, and then time out how long it's going to take, because before they're screaming, crying, sad, upset, surly, quiet, in a bad mood, it's simply noticeable, especially in a kid.
I want to talk about that later in the show, like a whole maybe segment about the children component, because I do think it's something the whole world needs to know about. But
Me too.
I want to know now, are there any popular wellness trends around food and anxiety that are actually misleading?
I couldn't tell you because there's so many things that actually work differently for different people. You know, some people do well with one meal a day. Some do great with intermittent fasting and, you know, the one meal. Others do great having, 3 meals a day. Some need 5 to 7.
Yeah,
so
everyone's different.
It is. But the basics are, the proteins, the vegetables first, have some fruit as a dessert if that's the case. And I'm never a fan of things in packages, boxes, and cans. So if it's, some weird milk thing that is supposed to, make you feel good or make your muscles bigger, I'm very much a skeptic. I don't think that we need to get things from that sort of a source as a other alternative of fuel. So, yes, I mean, there's probably a million things that if you brought it up, I could, trash it or tell you it's a good idea.
So you did mention protein powders before, and I'm only asking because I've never been a protein powder fan. Like, I try to eat clean, and I'm like, that feels processed. But I did buy recently this brand Truvani, which Val, who is the owner of this brand, she's very much an advocate for clean eating. So I was like, okay, let me give this a try. There was only like 5 or 6 ingredients of it, and they were all like actual ingredients. But I just don't feel like it's real stuff. Like, I have a protein shake, and my body just doesn't process it. And I'm like, why? It's protein. I'm mixing it with ice and almond milk. Maybe I'll put a handful of spinach in there, but it just doesn't do anything for me. Is that because my digestive system is all out of whack?
Maybe. Or maybe it's, not as great as it should, or, it's been dehydrated and now you're reconstituting it. I don't know. I mean, my mom, she took all 5 of us to the health food store when health food stores did not smell nice and everything was black and white. Mm-hmm. There was anything looked pretty at the health food store, not when we were kids. And she used to make these egg shakes. And what it was she would, at the time we were eating whole raw dairy products from the actual milkman because we had a milk carton on our front porch. We were the only people on the block. She would put an egg, some vanilla. She would put a spot of honey, some cinnamon, and a little milk, and that would be our egg shake.
Well, that sounds lovely.
It was a protein, and you could use an almond milk or, whatever type of milk you'd like instead. But I've constantly thrown eggs into smoothies and different types of things like that because that's the protein.
All right, I'm going to try that. I do have one more question before we head to our next commercial break. Is we're talking about the digestive system. What if someone has a disorder, like a disease, like Crohn's disease or something like that? Can they take AbsorbAid?
Absolutely, yes. And I have lots of patients over the years that have had Crohn's, and we've put them on heavy-duty digestive enzymes. We've taken away certain foods that they were sensitive to, that they shouldn't have been eating, that was inflaming the gut and causing the immune system to overwork. And yes, they need the digestive enzymes.
Right. They probably need it more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Let's head to our last commercial break. Dr. Julie, don't go anywhere. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Welcome back to the show. I'm joined again by Dr. Julie Gatza, who is discussing with us how to prioritize the right diet to combat anxiety. Anxiety, it's no stranger to any of us. It's that feeling that keeps us up at night, the tossing and the turning. It's like a light bulb that comes on at the most inconvenient times and won't switch off. Your body is exhausted, but your mind is wide awake. Dr. Julie asks, is the real problem what you had for dinner that night? Welcome back to the show, Dr. Julie.
Thank you.
All right, we've talked about a lot of things, the food, the digestion, but I do want to talk before we get into the rest of this segment about the Florida Wellness Institute, which you've co-founded. I want to make sure we're highlighting that enough because you're doing amazing things there. So tell us about it, please.
Well, thanks. So it started 34 years ago, and I was a Chicago suburb native, and so we started the clinic, and we were chiropractors, and we thought we were going to save the world, and found out, we were running into our shortcomings as far as what we could do as far as doctors. And we went to a lot of extra seminars and postgraduate studies and found out that the gut has everything to do with everything. And I know we've heard it, and it's much more popular now than it used to be when I was first starting, but we went on a journey to find out if that was the truth. And, we had people coming in that weren't coming in for Crohn's disease. They came in with a neck problem. We found out they had Crohn's, and by the time they were done with our program, which was correcting their digestion and their spine, they no longer had Crohn's symptoms. And this happened over and over and over with things that I never knew that we could actually impinge upon. So I've been doing the same thing for all this time. Probably my explanations have gotten better, but it's still the basic same techniques. And, a lot of what we're talking about today is, what I preach to my patients all the time. So it's nice to be able to talk to more than one person at a time.
Yeah. I've never really gone to a chiropractor. I think maybe once in my life. Should I make this a routine?
Well,
I don't have anything aching.
Well, so let me put it to you this way. You have a car parked on a garden hose, and you're like, my flowers just aren't blooming as great. The leaves are yellow. Geez, I get all these, weird little bugs on this, and nothing major, just, maybe not a perfect garden. And everyone's doing everything to try to tell you what to do about that garden. And the chiropractor across the street is watching, walks over and says, can you just give me the keys to your car? And so we unpark the car from the garden hose, and lo and behold, your flowers are green and the bugs go away and everything's blooming and doing better. So you could be complaining or not complaining. There still is a car on the garden hose, and that's exactly how it is with chiropractic. You can have a bone slightly interfering with how that nerve goes to your arm, and you have arm weakness or hand problems or carpal tunnel, and it's stemming from the neck.
Oh, so even though I don't have a symptom, I should just go and get a courtesy crack at a chiropractor.
I think maintenance is everything. Chiropractors in general are pretty happy that we have such healthy kids, and it's kind of known in our society because we're always working on them from pretty much the day they were born. Their heads were pulled on, they've been twisted around, they've been, not head supported, and you adjust these little babies and they don't get the earaches, they don't get the, digestive problems and the colic and things like that because the nerves are working properly to the body. So that's just how it works with humans. We go to the gym, we work our bodies out, and, we have spines we should actually have maneuvered and, put into its best position.
You're making me look at things very differently tonight, Dr. Julie. I love this.
Excellent. It is a worthwhile day for me then. Thank you.
Oh, yes. All right. Can we talk a little bit about the kids? We touched on it earlier, but I always find this to be a fruitful part of the topic, maybe selfishly because I have children, but how do I get them to, for the breakfast part? We were talking about the protein. I have one kid that eats eggs and one doesn't. So what am I feeding him for breakfast that's a protein? I'm not giving him bacon, right?
You could. There's bacon. You can give him turkey bacon. You could ask him what he wants from last night's dinner for breakfast. Maybe
He'll say spaghetti.
Maybe the pork chop is fine. Well, barring that, but, we're only 100 years into this American breakfast. There are other countries in this planet that do not eat eggs and bacon and waffles and toast for breakfast. They actually eat real food. So I'm not a breakfast fan. Growing up, I was not an egg fan. So I would always eat last night's dinner. I would eat cold chicken and cold steak and cold pork chop and things like that for breakfast. I still have a tendency if somebody says, do you want to go to breakfast? I'm hoping the lunch menu is open because I'd much prefer to eat lunch. So for me, you could do something like that. Maybe get the kids to help prepare what it is that they're going to have. Hey, we're having breakfast. Here's your choices. When I find that the kids prepare it and you're actually patient enough to let them do it, they'll eat their food. But, they don't necessarily want to eat the one that you slept in front of them, no matter how much work it was for you. So
that's usually the kicker.
Yep. They aren't looking at the effort and, the cost and the time on this one. But, maybe have them start making menus. What could we have for breakfast?
Oh,
Let's take
I like
a look
that.
at this. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's happening.
And maybe one kid cooks for the others that morning. Mm-hmm. So, I know you don't like eggs, kid X, but, eggs are on the menu tomorrow. Is there a way you do like them?
Okay, we're going to try that. Let's talk about, how do you identify when you have an anxious child? Because kids right now are called the anxious generation, and we have a lot of reasons why they are. It's the social media, the screens, and we can go into that. But how do you know when you have an anxious child? Like, what are some of the most common signs of anxiety in children?
Well, it would either be, withdrawn and, not wanting to participate, not wanting to have a proper communication when asked a question, not, originating things, wanting to be alone, or highly irritable, where they're just snapping at everybody and everyone's wrong, or, upset all the time as far as, tears or anger. So, just if they're not happy and, be in pains, then there probably something's not right, from that sense. Now, you can have the quiet kids and you can have the nerdy kids and the genius kids and, the artistic kids and, you've got all that, but they should be participating. Right. And then the next thing, take a look. What is their diet looking like? Do they have dark circles under their eyes? Are they sleeping properly? Are they communicating? Are they, at least engaging at some level? And if not, fix the diet. Just first and foremost, fix the diet. I don't care if it's a World War III in your household. Pull out all the sugar, all the flours, everything in a package, a box, and a can that they could eat. Make them protein 3 times a day, get them involved, and you'll start to see that just feeding your kid the old school diet is probably going to be an old school fix that's what we used to use.
Right. Simple is better. I mean, you have the whole digital marketing that highly influences children to buy unhealthy things. Like, there's this drink right now that's viral on like YouTube and all over the internet. It's called Prime. It's basically like a Gatorade, but they've marketed it so hard towards children that they've made it seem cool. And if you don't have Prime, you're not the cool kid. And I tell them, the kids all the time, like, I'm not buying this. It's not happening. The people have Prime birthday parties as the theme. And it upsets me because like children aren't smart enough at that age, at like 5, 6, 7 years old, to know that this is just a marketing scheme, that this is terrible for me. But this company was really smart with their angle on going right to children, and it's nothing but like sugar water. And some of them have more caffeine than coffee.
Oh my goodness, that hurts me. I'm so sorry you have to deal with that.
Yeah. Have you heard of Prime?
I haven't. I'm not much of a, but I get your pain on it. It's really, Gatorade, I'm not even a fan of because it's just so much. And, if some parent insisted their kid needed to have it, I would say, all right, cut it 1/5 Gatorade, 5 parts water.
5 parts water. Wow.
Yeah. That's how overdone it is. And I think that's still overdone. I've seen, kids playing football and things like that. And my kids' high school, they had them drinking pickle juice because pickle juice has everything in it that you need for cramping and for oversweating and for that. And so the kids had a big
like
jar
the
of
salts
pickle juice.
And things.
Yeah, everything in there is the vinegar, and it was a perfect, they were overheated and sweaty and cramping, and it drank the pickle juice and it handled it.
That's interesting. Ryan, the engineer, do you have something to say about this? I feel like you do.
No, I absolutely agree with the pickle juice stuff.
You do? Have you tried it?
Not that I've tried it before, but I'm a big sports guy myself.
You
and I've seen a ton of instances. You see all these grown men athletes drinking pickle juice before their games, and
I never heard of
it successfully worked. Like, there's a football game out there, an NFL game between the Eagles and the Cowboys that is known to this day as the pickle juice game because the Eagles players, they took pickle juice before the game because of all the extreme heat that they faced. They were in Texas that day, 109-degree weather, and they won. So at least on a professional level, it goes to show that something as simple as pickle juice can not only become very memorable, but it's also proven that it works. And, it's something I might try if I'm working out outdoors or something like that, especially in the summer heat. That might not be such a bad idea.
I'll give it a go. I love pickles.
Well, it made me laugh because as I'm saying this, I remember betting my kid's sister $5 if she'd finish the whole jar, and she finished almost down to a quarter of it. And we would never pay her.
Oh, my gosh, that's funny.
Jar. So it's making me laugh because, she was drinking pickle juice as a bet. But, it is, and you don't need a lot of volume. You just need the basic of it in.
You know what I use Gatorade for, though, like if I use it at all, when you're sick, right, and you have like the stomach virus or something, and you just need like a little sip of something, that's probably not good, right? You're just putting sugar in your digestive system. What would be another alternative?
I mean, what would I have if that was soup?
Okay, just like a broth,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
A broth would be best, a bone broth of sorts, just because it's just now you're getting, bone marrow and you're getting things that actually help you rather than just a sugar spurt.
Great. All right, we are pretty much out of time, but give us the deets again on the AbsorbAid and the discount code and where people can get free samples.
Sure. If they go to the radio and they if they go to the phone and want to use the code radio, they call the 1-800 number, and that's 1-800-827-7656. You can ask for free samples or 20% off your first order. If you go to the website is Nature's Sources, and they'll have the free samples and 20% off there. But check it out. There's lots of information. It comes in different formulations as far as, powder or pill, and every age can take it. And I mean, you've just done such a brilliant show today with asking a lot of pertinent questions, and everyone can get smarter and smarter and smarter. You're welcome. But they'll never know unless they do something about it. So you have to pull the trigger. I love this company. The guys who own it are friends, and they do a bang-up job of really making a perfect product and making it available so nobody has to say, I wasn't, I didn't want to purchase it. They can get free samples and check it out.
Well, I thank you again, Dr. Julie, because I'm telling you, I thought this was personally such an educational show, and I have my own homework to do now. I'm going to get AbsorbAid for myself and for my family, and I'm going to make a chiropractor appointment because I haven't gotten an adjustment, I think, in 10 years.
Oh, good for you. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on AM 970 The Answer. Tune in next week for a show all about sustainable packaging. I'll be joined by the CEO of Plant Switch, Dylan Baxter, and he drives Plant Switch's vision of building the future of plant-derived alternative plastics that perform equally to conventional plastic, but leave behind no harmful microplastics. So that's pretty cool. He was included in Forbes 30 Under 30 list in 2024 for his accomplishments with Plant Switch. His groundbreaking work in developing a more sustainable and scalable alternative plastic material was the subject of a recent PBS News special and an Inc. magazine feature story. A single-use plastic utensil takes 1,000 years to decompose. So I'll just leave that with you right there. That's the show for tonight. Thanks for listening and have a great night.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.